and welcome to Flavor Town. My name's Alan. I'm very happy you could join me here today. Today we're going to be making a Baja fish taco. Despite, I don't know where you're at in the country or where you're at in the world really, but up here in northern New York we are experiencing a lot of snow and I am tired of it. I'm trying to put myself in a mindset of warm weather and warm climate, so we're doing a Baja fish taco. Really healthy dish. I've kind of designed it in a way that you can make it your own. If you don't do fish, you like chicken instead, this marinade, this recipe easily adapts to chicken. If you're vegan or vegetarian and you'd rather make it with either of those components, do it with a tofu. Comes out great. Really, really good recipe for that. So what I'm going to start off, I know last week I kind of went overboard with the video. It ended up being about 30 minutes long. I'm really trying to cut back on that for this week. So I've done all of the fabrication ahead of time. What we're going to do is just kind of run over all the ingredients, how it all comes together, and yeah, we'll assemble it, plate it, and show you guys what it looks like. For the marinade, really simply what it is salt, pepper, a little bit of olive oil, cumin, chili powder, paprika, a little bit of cayenne, depending on how much heat you like, depends on how much cayenne you're going to use, lime juice, lime zest, olive oil, and then one of my tricks is that I use a little bit of tequila in it. I want to show you guys what everything looks like though. So there's the spices that I use, a little bit of salt, yeah, we'll go a little heavier. Some fresh cracked black pepper. As I said in the last video, guys, fresh crack makes all the difference in the world. If you can invest in a decent pepper mill, your taste buds will thank you, I promise. Some olive oil, lime juice and zest. Fresh, makes all the difference, especially when you're dealing with a recipe like this. Invest in a microplane too, something like this. Works really, really good. It's a multi-purpose tool in the kitchen. You can use it for grating nutmeg. You can use it for finishing a dish with Parmesan cheese. Right? So we got our lime zest, lime juice. If your lime is kind of hard, it's not real soft, you can throw it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. That'll soften it up a little bit for you. This one is nice and ripe though. So we'll go in there with our lime juice, our lime zest. Really, really good. Perfect. You can tell for me. Beautiful. And like I said, I use tequila in my recipe. A good grade tequila. Don't use something cheap, use something that you'd want to drink. I know that I didn't put it in the recipe, but it's one of those things that I like that little bit of extra flavor that it gives. I think that it's really, really tasty. It's just something extra. It's something that maybe you wouldn't expect. So we'll give that a quick mix up. And it almost comes out looking sort of like a paste if you do it right. Okay, something like that. So I then cut my fish. The fish that I'm using for today is mahi. I bought frozen mahi, comes pre-portioned, about 6-ounce portions. I cut it on a diagonal, a steep diagonal, looking for about a 4-inch long piece. That way, when you are plating everything, your fish is about the same size as the tortillas. I'm using 4-inch corn tortillas today. So good technique or good trick is to make sure that you're kind of cutting your fish roughly the same size, that way you're not eating a whole bunch of tortilla without having any fish in it. So we'll toss our fish in that. I did that earlier. Let it marinate for 2 to 3 hours. If you go much longer than, I'd say 3 hours, 4 hours max, what's going to end up happening is that the acids will start to break down the fish and it'll get mushy on you as opposed to having that nice firm texture. It's one of the reasons that I really like mahi. But like I said, I let that cook for a few hours, or marinate for a few hours. So it's good to go. I'm going to go ahead and get my grill pan heating up. If you don't have a grill pan, you don't want to invest in a grill pan, you can just as easily use a regular pan, sear this off. You can go on a grill outside. I am not about to go outside because we are like blizzarding out. I should turn one of these cameras around so you guys can see, but it is white outside. So the mahi and yeah, snow just would not work. But while my grill pan's heating up, I want to go over the salsa with you guys. I'm doing a mango salsa for today. Something a little bit different, fruitier, big flavor to it. So I got some, obviously the mango. Did a fine dice on that. And if you guys have questions about how I do the knife cuts or whatever, feel free, like I said, put it in the description down, or the questions, the comments down below. Leave me those questions. If you're not sure how to use dices or still not comfortable with a knife, I can address that in a video. I just don't want to waste your time by going over stuff that you might not need. So the mango, the red bell peppers, red onion, cilantro. This is a kind of fancier knife cut called a chiffonade. I'll probably show you guys that real quick. But it basically just means thin little ribbons. There's a specific way to cut it. Jalapeno. The amount of jalapeno you use is kind of dependent on how much heat you like. I do like mine a little bit spicier, especially with how sweet the mango is. Some rice wine vinegar, which will help everything kind of macerate. About an ounce roughly. I'm going to use just a touch of lime juice in this as well. Smidgen of olive oil. Couple grains of pepper. A little bit of salt, help everything break down. And if you guys want to make this salsa the day ahead, it's perfect. The longer that this sits, the better it's going to get. If your mangoes aren't super ripe, a good thing to use is a little bit of agave nectar. You could sub out sugar, just plain sugar. I really like agave nectar. Kind of sticks with the theme of the area. Has a really good flavor in and of itself. So maybe just a titch bit of that agave nectar. Right? Grab ourselves a spoon. We'll get all that tossed together. And as this sits, the salt that I added will help draw out some of those natural sugars, help draw out some of that moisture, and they'll get a little bit, I don't want to say juicy in a negative way. It's not a negative thing, it's a good thing. It'll help to bring everything together. It'll help all those flavors to infuse. So that's looking good. Set that aside for a few. And I mentioned briefly that chiffonade thing. Let me show you guys real quick though. So I got some cilantro leaves, right? What I'm going to do, and this works with mint, this works with cilantro, this works with basil, is I'm going to kind of wrap them up into a tight little ball. I'll then use my knife and just make these thin little ribbons running right through them, right? Good for garnishes, good for these kinds of recipes. I do it in that specific way because it keeps the herb from bruising, right? It keeps it from turning black, especially when you're dealing with mint or basil. And it still releases a lot of those great aromatics and the flavors that it has. So we'll get rid of that for demonstration purposes. My grill pan's getting hot. I can start to feel the heat coming off of it. So we're going to go in with just a little bit of oil. And I'll lay in my fish. Kind of give it a little brush off. Hit it in the pan. Just like so. Simple. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the oven, and it'll finish off in a 375-degree oven for a few. So while that finishes up, talk about some of these other components real quick, right? One of the fillers that I like, and especially like a Baja taco, I don't use lettuce. I like Savoy cabbage or Napa cabbage. What Savoy cabbage is, if you haven't heard of it or you haven't seen it, it's kind of a cross between a Napa cabbage and then a regular green cabbage. Has that rough, wrinkly exterior, kind of like a Napa does, but it's in a bulb, much like a green cabbage. So break it into quarters, and then just finely slice it. I know I said shred in that recipe. And then you kind of get something that looks like this, those thin little ribbons. Perfect for this recipe. Avocados. What I'm going to do is take it and go just about in half. Spin my knife around it. Give it a twist. Break it in half. Pop out that pit. Don't ever, when you guys are doing this, just as a safety precaution, don't ever try to grab a pit and pull it off. You run the risk of cutting yourself. If you have to actually pinch on either side of the blade, right above it, you can very easily remove that pit. So I'm going to take a spoon and just very carefully work my way around that outside edge. Being careful not to dig in. I'm going to try to get this out, if I can, as one piece. I'll show you why for plating purposes. Oh, I did it. Yep. So we'll get that out as just about one whole piece. And then I'm going to slice it. Nice thin slices. Lay those out. Important with avocados too, guys, is to salt it. That fat loves sodium. I'm going to bring out all those natural flavors. So we'll put a little bit of salt on those. Okay. So, as far as bringing all of it together is concerned, I designed this recipe for a single person, which is 3 tacos. So I'm going to grab 3 of my corn tortillas, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to throw these in the oven for just a second with that fish. I'm going to go actually right on a rack, and we'll just let those soften for a second. They'll get so much better with time. Earlier I also made some Spanish rice. In my Spanish rice I put some black beans and some sweet corn. Really simple, delish. If you really want to impress your friends and do some cool plating stuff, I'll show you guys what I do. I have just a fun little square bowl, small square bowl. It's about a 6-ounce bowl. I'm going to maybe fill it a quarter of the way, 3/4 of the way, maybe just a little bit more than 3/4, with that Spanish rice. And then we'll just kind of pack it in lightly with the back side of my spoon. Smooth it off. About like so. Then I'm going to go kind of kitty corner-ish. So we got something like that. Let's grab those taco shells. These are nice and warm now, so they're kind of flexible, right? I got some fish that I cooked off a little bit earlier, grilled beautifully. So we'll grab, actually I think I'm going to build these, I'm going to build them over here. Try to keep it so you guys can see everything. But we're going to go in with a little bit of this great Savoy cabbage. Put some of that in each of these. Probably 2 slices of avocado per. or if they're small and break, you can go with 3. Okay. We'll then lay a piece of fish in each. Before that gets too much bigger, I'm going to go ahead and transfer everything. About like so. We'll then go in with our salsa. About like that. And we can garnish with a couple big, nice big pieces of cilantro right over the top. There we go. Let's do 2 of these rings. This. Go like that. Alright. And then I would also, let's not forget about our lime. Take, serve it up with a couple lime wedges, just like that. So there you have it. Super easy, super simple, really, really tasty. A Baja fish taco. Something that all your friends will enjoy. Something that'll maybe bring you out of a winter gloom if you're in one. Or if you're in someplace tropical, maybe it'll remind you of home and you can think of us struggling up here in the cold. But yeah, hopefully you guys like this recipe. Please leave comments down below. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a big thumbs up if you do like everything. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Have a great week and have a fabulous Sunday. And remember to keep that pantry stocked. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, so I couldn't leave well enough alone. I really have to tell you guys, you really need to try these tacos. They are killer. It just such a great fresh flavor to them. Really, really highly recommend it. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you soon.